Now that you have the single crochet down, we're going to move on to the next step up, of which is the half double crochet. It's going to be similar to the single crochet, but it's going to be a little bit more of a step. We're going to add in what's called a yarn over, of which you did also when we were doing the chain. Yarn over is simply pulling the yarn over your hook. Some people do a yarn under, which goes this way too, which tends to use a little bit less yarn, but most people just do a yarn over. What we're going to do is we're going to work our 20 stitches again that we have on our chain here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to practice our yarn over, or sorry, our half double crochet with the yarn over. This is going to be between your single crochet and your double crochet. It's going to be a little bit taller than a single crochet, but at the same time, it's going to give you a little bit more bulk than a single crochet, but it's not as tall and lacy as your double crochet. You can see here, this is a double crochet, and you can see it does have some holes in it, but it still keeps you quite warm, versus this is a cross between a half double crochet and a slip knot or a slip stitch, but you can see it's a little bit more dense. So what we're going to do is we're going to move into this. Now, if you're working onto the chain, you're going to yarn over. Typically, always read your pattern. It will tell you to go into the second chain from the hook. So there's one, here's two, and we're just going to go right in on the top, yarn over, pull your loop through. Now you're going to have 3 separate loops on your hook. Okay, 1, 2, and 3. What you're going to do is you're going to yarn over, and we're going to pull through all 3 loops. Okay, so yarn over into the top of the stitch, yarn over and pull through. We have 3 on there, yarn over, pull through all 3. And it's going to give you a really neat look. I really like the half double for stuff like neck warmers, hats, and stuff like that. It's just a very good, it's a bulkier stitch, but it does use a lot more yarn to get something done than versus a double crochet, and I would say even more than a single crochet, because it is a little bit taller, but it's not quite tall enough to make 2 rows of two rows of single crochet. But it does use a lot of yarn. So we're going to just go across, and I'm going real slow, so hopefully you can follow along with me. And we're going to get to the other end, and I'm going to show you how to turn this. And you'll find that the half double just kind of, I don't know, it's probably one of my favorite stitches, because it doesn't require a whole lot of thinking to get something done. It's, like I said, it's a little bit more than your single crochet, but it's really a simple stitch. Very easy. When we get more towards the end, I'm also going to show you how to slip stitch in another class, or another lesson, I should say. So at the end, I'm going to give you the pattern for that lovely neck warmer, or you could actually extend it out and not connect it and turn it into a really nice scarf, nice warm scarf for you people up in the really cold frigid areas. I do well with ear warmer or head warmer, whichever one you want to call it, here in North Carolina, because I mean it gets cold, but it's not as cold as it was when I grew up in Connecticut. So I don't really miss the cold like that, but I kind of do. I don't know. I always like the cold weather. I miss the snow, I think, more than anything living here. Okay, we got one last stitch here. We're going to stitch into there, pull out, yarn over, and then typically you're going to want to read your pattern, but a lot of times when you're doing a work where your next row is going to be a half double crochet, you're going to chain 2, 1 and 2. You should be pretty good at chaining by now, and you're going to turn. Now, it depends on the pattern, again, whether or not this chain counts as a stitch or not. So always make sure to read your pattern. And if you're not sure, read the notes at the beginning of the pattern if it doesn't say it in the pattern. but sometimes it won't count, and sometimes it will count even in the same pattern. So just make sure you read very carefully what you're working on. But we're going to assume that this chain counts as a stitch. So I can show you what we're doing. So if this counts as a stitch, you're going to skip this very first one here, okay? And we're going to go into this next one here. Sorry, let me start it over. Yarn over, go into that second stitch, yarn over, pull through, and that's it. And you're just going to keep doing that, yarning over, getting 3 loops, and pulling through all 3. Now what we're going to do for tonight's practice assignment, I would like you to do about 5 or 6 rows, just like this, to practice this stitch. Like I said, it's a very simple stitch. It's not very labor intensive. You'll have fun when we get to, I don't know if I'm going to do a treble crochet in this course. I may do that in a more advanced course when I do some more advanced stuff like front and back loops, treble crochets, post crochets, and stuff like that. So that'll be my more advanced course. But if you get through this and you want to join us and learn something a little bit more adventurous, I am doing a mystery crochet along this year, and we will be working on it live at least once a month, if not once a week. It really doesn't have much to the crochet, to the pattern itself. It's a very simple pattern, but it does have some new stitches in it, which is always fun. But I'm going to finish out this row with y'all so you can see what it looks like. And I'm actually having to pull more out of my yarn ball than I did when I did the single crochet on this, so you can see how much it is actually using a little bit more yarn than it did on the last row with the single crochet. And I want to show you the very last stitch because you have that chain that you're working on with this because of the starting. So you're going to look and you see how we got that V right there. You're going to slip right under, let me get it focused, under that V. And when you get done, your ends should look straight on both sides. And this will straighten out when we pull up that other one over here. And that is your half double crochet.